All right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's great to see everybody here. I don't know if you had the chance to listen to the first song we played this morning. This is my house. Well, this morning, this is Kathy Popovich's house. So we're super excited to be bringing this to everybody. This is a presentation on listings, right? Kathy Popovich is a member of Team Trimble.
I'm coming.
I'm sorry, what?
Sorry, Julia's yelling at me to put my video on, so I'm doing it.
Look, there she is. Even our top producers get coaching out here, right? Put the video on. Super excited to have you here, Kathy. Kathy, in the past, just to give some context, Team Trimble has done 2 presentations on listings in the past year. Together, they have garnered over 125 views. They have done 177 million in volume in the past 2 years, and 72 million of that is from listings alone. So that incredible production. You guys are killing it. And you're so gracious to come and share the information that you have. You guys are in for a treat this hour. There's a lot to be learned, and Kathy is a fabulous teacher. So I'm going to hand it over to her as you guys have things in the chat that come up or you have questions. I know, Kathy, you enjoy an interactive session. So off you go. Super excited to be here this morning. Thank you for doing this.
Of course, thank you. Okay, so let's see. I think the last time I did this was back in September, October of 2020. And I think that, like you said, there was a good following. We had good conversation and that kind of thing. So I'm really thankful to be asked to come back again. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about who I am. Obviously, Diana just talked a little bit about Team Trimble, but I am Kathy Popovich, and I look remarkably similar to my sister, Karen Trimble, who is the team leader and rainmaker of our team. And I spent the first 30 years of my career in sales and marketing, obviously in the latter part in executive leadership roles, and did that up until about 2015. And at that point in time, I made kind of a pivot shift and launched a second career, which was in real estate and to join my twin sister in her business. So it's been a wild ride and we absolutely love it. I actually live in Ohio and come back and forth to Wisconsin like once every 4 to 6 weeks for a week or so. And I support the business as the business operations manager, mainly virtually. But like I said, I do come here quite often to meet in person with the team and also get some things done in the marketplace. So in this past year, though, I've been a licensed agent in Ohio, and now in January of 2021, so just a few months ago, I got my license in the state of Wisconsin. So I'm now a licensed agent as well in Wisconsin. My role is still going to be in business operations, but by being licensed in the state, now I can do more types of support for the agents if needed when I'm here. So like writing contracts and scheduling showings and handling clients when the agents are either out of town or have competing clients that they need to have see a property or what have you. So I can step in and do those things. So it's been a lot of fun to be actually associated with 2 different market centers in 2 different states. One of the things you'll hear me talk about a little bit as we move forward is how wonderful this market center is, the Keller Williams Milwaukee conglomerate, I'll call it. So North Shore, Lake Country, and then obviously Southwest is not, but is a part of who we are from like our inception, and the amazing leadership and training and opportunities that are available here. I can tell you because I also have another market center in Cincinnati, and it's not meant to be derogatory towards them, but you've got like 5-star A+ people in leadership in these market centers, and not just in leadership with Diana and Charlie, and then also obviously the owners and operating principals, but also the caliber of the agents that are in these market centers. And you talk about like Janine Warner and Jay Schmidt, you talk about Scott Klass, Chris Ruskowitz, all kinds of people that really have, Andy Stillman, that, I mean, the list goes on and on of these top producing agents that are with Keller Williams, and they are very much of the mindset of giving back and mentoring and being available to agents in the market center. So that is something that if you don't realize it because you don't have a relative experience, I'm here to tell you that that is something that you should be taking advantage of and be thankful for. So I just wanted to say that just to get started. I do have a few notes here that I'm going to kind of use as my guide. Let's see. So we have a 6-person team. Actually, I think Katie Thomas from our team might be on here in the audience. But we've got a 6-person team. We started back in 2016 officially as a team. Karen was an individual agent prior to starting the team. And over the last 5 years, we did something that was completely out of Karen's comfort zone. She started in real estate kind of as a second chapter of her career too. She was a stay-at-home mom and did a lot of community-minded, civic-minded activities, was the president of her school board for, I think, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. Prior to that was in customer service in the insurance industry prior to having children, and really just got into real estate because she had a passion for it. And one thing led to another, and here we are today. I mean, it's just, our trajectory has been nothing. I mean, we could never have dreamed about what it was, where we are today, from where Karen just had the courage to step out and follow a dream. And it's really turned into like a head-turning real estate business in 5 years. So one of the things I wanted to do, because I think sometimes, I don't know the age or the tenure of all of the people that are on this call today, but a lot of times agents will look at like the top agents and say, look at them, I'm never going to be able to be that. They win everything, they get everything, all of these things. And I just wanted to give you some perspective that most of those agents, and I would include Karen in that, when they joined Keller Williams, there was no Keller Williams. I mean, Keller Williams was Maureen Stallay's dining room table. There was no market center, there was no command, there was no ancillary leadership, agent services and all of these other things that are really at your disposal now. And they did it just with a passion for, serving the real estate needs in the area. And Karen, actually, our market is Lake Country. So this is the market center that we're out of. And at the time, there was no Keller Williams Lake Country, only Milwaukee North Shore existed on Maureen's dining room table. And she would go in every day to Whitefish Bay and learn from the best of the best. And there were very little tools, and all she did was learn, sponge, and want to be around the people that had been doing this for a long time and were very well respected, and just took in as much as she possibly could. So I just wanted to say that, like, if you look at people and you think, oh my gosh, the fear of like, I'm never going to be able to do that. Most people have started exactly where you are, especially if you're a new agent. And like I said, back then, people were like, Keller, who? There was no Keller Williams in Milwaukee. So not only did we have to overcome sharing what the value proposition is for Keller Williams, because people didn't know who Keller Williams was as a brokerage, she also had to talk about what her value proposition was as an individual agent. So if you ever have an opportunity to talk to any of these seasoned agents, many of them are very open and honest about their career path. I mean, there are always mistakes along the way. Nothing is ever perfect. And your ability to persevere and to make changes and to course correct is part of, I would say, what Charlie refers to a lot is like, you don't want to have a great year in real estate. You want to have a great career in real estate. And most of those agents that have been around for a long time have done a lot of course corrections along the way. So don't think just because they have it going on now means that they are done learning or that they've always had it going on. I mean, everyone always started at square one. So I think it's important to couch things that way so that people feel like we're all human. No one is perfect. No one does anything with perfection. And then also I wanted to say, obviously, if you're here today, you're wanting to learning about listings. And I promise that I'm going to run through the toolkit that we have and that we use. But there's something that I did last time, which I think is really important. It's one thing to have a toolkit at your disposal, but your mindset and how you show up is as important to your business success as any ancillary items that you're going to use to add credibility to who you are as an agent. So, for those of you who have attended Jay and Janine's listing tools training, or any of the Loken group, or any of those folks out there out in Keller Williams, I mean, there are people out there that are the best in the business. I mean, Janine and Jay have their listing presentation down like systematic. They do things a certain way, and they have their objections handled. They take care of everything. The Loken group, they do the same thing. And I think it's important to have that in your wheelhouse. But I also think it's important to maybe talk a little bit more about how you show up. Like, what are some guiding principles? What are the intrinsic things that you can do as an agent to show up at a listing appointment to be ready to win the business? So I've spent a little bit of time. I think I have 16 or 17 points that I've kind of put together that I think are as valuable as the toolkits themselves. So the first one that I have is to be a lifelong learner. When you look around at the most successful agents in our market center or even around the country, you can see that all of them are constantly learning and constantly networking with each other, learning from each other, and giving back. I don't know what the attendance is like on things like Bold or what have you, but I know that the most successful agents are always coming back and doing Bold. The most successful agents are always leaning into, what's available, on command with KW Connect, talking with other agents, learning from other agents. I mean, my father taught us when we were very young that, you really only get to a point of being smart when you realize that there's still a lot to learn. And I think that that is something that I aspire to. I mean, I'm in my mid 50s and I would call myself a lifelong learner. I think that's actually on my Twitter handle. So especially if you're going to be at Keller Williams and you're a business owner, having that bent towards always be learning is an important part of a mindset. The second thing that I have is to treat your real estate as a business. Again, the top producing agents are some of the hardest working agents in our market centers. Business didn't just fall into their lap, and it doesn't just fall into their lap now. Sure, do they have a lot of brand awareness? Yes. When Jay Schmidt walks in a room or Maureen Stale walks in a room, do people know who they are? And does that come with street cred? Absolutely. But don't be mistaken to think that that success hasn't come with a lot of hard work and continued hard work, whether they're spending as many hours on the job today as they did years ago or not. I really don't know the answer to that. Maybe they're using leverage more, but at the end of the day, their success has come from putting in the work. You can't sit back and expect the business to happen. You have to be intentional about building your business. So if you were in a career before and you had a different boss and that kind of thing, and you showed up to work a certain way, I mean, you have to consider real estate to be your career as well, and show up for yourself. If you're your own boss, show up for yourself as the best employee your boss would want. The next thing I have is about mastery, and mastery comes from practice and repetition. So the more listing appointments you go on, the more versed and comfortable that you're going to become in meeting with people and talking about your value proposition. If you are new in the business, what can you do to become a master? So you don't have a lot of listings, you don't have a lot of opportunity yet. You can attend as many trainings as possible. Make yourself some goals, time block for those trainings. I mean, our market centers have so many things that are literally being spoon fed to you. Take advantage of as much of that as possible. If you are new to the business and you want to go on listing presentations with other agents, with other mentors, people that you admire. I mean, there's lots and lots of agents and lots of different success models. So, you know, look around, find people that are more seasoned that you are, that you think you connect with, and ask them if you can go on the listing presentations with them. Offer to help them out. I mean, you may not be getting paid for that, but the value that you get from helping out seasoned agents and being able to either be a fly on the wall or help, you know, be a shadow of them when they're in these listing presentations is so valuable and will serve you well over the course of your career. But then on the heels of the Mastery Matters, one of the things that I think that's really important to talk about is progress over perfection. Because sometimes we all get locked up and we don't know how to do something because like, okay, well, I have to have, this has to be perfect. I don't have my logo and my listing presentations aren't done and I don't have all the answers and I'm not really sure how I'm going to do all of this. And then you're never going to go out and actually win any business. So progress over perfection. I think Charlie talks about this a lot. He said it actually a few weeks ago. And, you know, even at my age and even after having, you know, 5 years in the business, that was a reminder to me, like, settle down, Kathy, you know, you got it. Like, don't be overwhelmed with all the things that are going on, make your list of priorities and, you know, get the things done that need to get done, make progress. And, you know, over time, things are going to be fine tuned and iterated. So just be accepting of that. So, I mean, again, just because we've been in the business longer or maybe have, you know, more volume, it doesn't mean that we aren't also feeling some of those inhibitions or fears that you might be feeling. But it's important to keep that in your mind, progress over perfection. There's something called, I have a note here. I think it's called the Imposter Syndrome, where, and it's actually something that's very common in high performing individuals, where they feel like that I can't possibly go into a listing presentation and be commanding, and then people are going to choose me over someone else because I don't have the experience. And so the mindset, you're like negotiating against yourself instead of showing up with the mindset of, I can do this. And if I don't know how to do something, I have colleagues in my market center or support staff that are going to help me through it. So don't let those inhibitions and those fears hold you back from taking the first step. The other thing that we talk a lot about, and a lot of people say in real estate, I hate sales. I hate sales. I don't want to sell. Well, you know what? Nobody does. Like we don't sell. I mean, we are in the sales business, but really we're in the relationship business. And I think as soon as people start feeling like they're being sold is when they're going to start to tune you out. So the most important thing that we feel like that we do as a team is education over selling. So our goal is to help people reach their goals in real estate. So if it's buying or selling, our goal is to help them out and to educate them in the process, taking the time to explain things to them, demonstrating your value. Don't use all kinds of industry terms and nomenclature that is not familiar to customers. Be relatable, be approachable. You can refer to certain things like, you know, we say all the time, like, oh, the wrecker or this and that. And it's like, people are like, well, what is that even? So make sure that when you're talking with people, that you're talking with them in terms that are understandable to them and that are not too businessy. You know, you want to show up with a business mind, but you also don't want to talk over people. And even the best, even it's amazing, CEOs of companies, people that run industry and businesses, you would be amazed at how they think they know how things work and they really don't. So there's a way that you can speak with them about real estate, buying and selling without talking down to them, but also educating them in the process. So I say, like, it's like, think of a surgeon. right? So you have a surgeon, you've got a shoulder that needs to be operated on, and you're going in. And of course, you want to have a surgeon who's done 10,000 shoulder surgeries, right? So you want them to have the command of that. But if you walk in the room and they act like it's no big deal, and they don't really talk to you about what they're going to do and educate you on, what the process is going to be like, what the healing process is going to be like. I mean, you walk away, they walk out of the room, and you don't feel that good feeling, so making sure that you are being in command, but then also taking the time to educate them is important. It could be your 15th listing appointment of the week, but they need to feel important. They need to feel like that you're focused on them, and they need to feel like that you're willing to share information with them and not just talk at them. And I don't know if anyone has any questions while I'm talking. I didn't say that earlier.
No, one of the things, I haven't seen anything in the chat, but you guys, if you have anything, feel free to unmute and contribute, or go ahead and put it in the chat. I'm watching that. And while you guys are thinking about things to kind of interact with Kathy on here, this is one of the things I love about Team Trimble, right? You come for information on a listing presentation and you get the real information, right? Because there's the tactical piece. And everything that Kathy's talking about right now is the make or break piece, right? How do you show up in this, in the appointment? And so I'm just super grateful that you're here. So it's a great resource. Ask her questions. Don't let this go.
Yeah.
Use this time for yourself, right?
For sure.
Kathy.
Number 7 we have is to be confident and a calming influence. So I know it seems hard, but when you show up at your appointments, to meet a seller in their home, try to be as at ease as possible and tastefully confident when you are interacting with them. They are really looking to you to be the expert, so you can't be willy-nilly. You have to show up like this is your business. You can be friendly and approachable and relatable, but you also have to be business minded. So it's a delicate balance of all of those things, but not having an answer is okay. And having your pat response, which is, I don't have the answer to that question, but my colleagues back at the market center, I can get that information for you, is a fine answer. But don't act like when you come flying in hot and things are crazy, you got 7 other deals that are happening. I mean, people don't want to work with people that are harried and busy, and they want to feel like they are the most important people that you're speaking with. They want to be your A client. So that's how you have to show up for them. And obviously we talked a little bit about that imposter syndrome too. So, faking it till you make it. I mean, I know that might not be like the right way to say that, but that is something that we've always, even in my career prior to real estate, we would say, I mean, sometimes you just have to show up and be well-spoken. You have to have a command of a certain percentage of things. You don't have to have a command of all of it. So if you can speak with authority on a certain, let's just say it's 3 different things, and then you have to go back and get more information on another handful of things, you have presented yourself as an authority and an expert. You don't oversee all of that, but you are at least putting them at ease that you're the right person in the room, and that you're setting it up so that they would want to work with you because you are the expert.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important point, Kathy. We talk about you have all gone through licensing, and many of you have years of experience behind you, and we forget the things that we know, right? It's like you're in the environment, so it's like a fish in water, right? A fish doesn't recognize the water. You don't recognize all of the information that you have. So just reminding yourself of that as you go into the appointment, that you do usually more than the person who's sitting across the table, and they've hired you to be their expert. I love that piece. And
I call it it's like when you buy a diamond. I go, well, hopefully you're only buying a diamond one time, but it doesn't. But I mean, people are not moving, that often. So even if you're working with someone that moved 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 15 years ago, all the things that they were inundated with when they were moving, they've forgotten. So, and the market of the moment is different today than when it was 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 15 years ago. I mean, our listing presentations today, based on what how this market is so different than our listing presentations from 2019. I mean, to Charlie's point, Charlie's talking about this all the time. I mean, this is an anomaly, but being able to shift and being able to talk about the market of the moment and what we do, the value that we bring to our sellers, given this market, is really important. So that's one of the things that we need to talk about too. And, showing up as the authority is important, because otherwise you're going to get pushed around too, by the way. If you don't show up with authority with a seller and aren't willing to tell them, you can couch it in like, based on my experience, based on, all the deals that we've done, based on this last meeting that you can always reference something and say, this is what we see and we know in the market, so there is a way for you to grab that authority and not let the sellers have the rein, because if you let them have the rein, you're going to be the tail of the dog wagging all the time, and they're going to see that weakness. And even if they choose you, so it's not just obviously trying to win the listing. There's obviously marketing the listing, going under contract with the listing, and then going to a successful close. All of that is your responsibility. So setting that tenor at the very beginning, that you have the confidence and that you have the expertise, even if you have to rely on other resources to help in certain areas, is part of why they're hiring you. Let's see, then the other one, number 8 is know the market. So again, this is something that Diana and Charlie talk about all the time, knowing the data, knowing your neighborhood, the listing appointment that you're in, get into as many homes as possible as you ramp your business up, going to open houses regularly in your farm, asking to do previews of homes that are on the market so that you can speak to that when you're in a listing appointment. And, don't say things like, we're so busy, it's a crazy market. Instead, use data points, use the market of the moment materials that Charlie is spoon feeding you every single week. Break it down into those nuggets. What does he call it? The Sendix?
Yep,
what
the grocery store speech.
The grocery store speech. What is it that he's giving you? He's like spoon feeding it to you. So you can use that data. And then if you go into the MLS, there's a way for you to cull information about, those specific neighborhoods, and, have that information at the ready. You don't need to know 100 statistics. Commit to knowing, 3 or 4 of them, so that when they're asking you questions, you're aware of being able to say a few things. You don't have to say it all, but just say a few things. I think that's really important. And being in as many homes as possible, driving in and out of neighborhoods, setting yourself up on, MLS searches in the areas in which you're farming, so that you're getting notifications on new listings as they're coming to market, clicking through all those listings, looking at the photos, looking at the documents that are loaded. So you have a frame of reference. It's like, okay, yeah, well, that house down the street, it's not, when you do your CMA, it's not like, oh yeah, well, yeah, I don't remember. Does that have a finished basement or not a finished basement? You already know, because you have been working in the business every day to know the market. And so when you're pulling together CMA, you just like, oh yeah, 5776. Yep, that one doesn't have a finished basement. You're versed in it. Obviously Keller Williams is the whole thing is about training in technology and scripts. So get into whatever it is that you want to know about your market, those data points. Be in it every day, be in it as much as possible, so that it comes off your tongue without having to pull out a sheet of paper, is also my advice. So be aware and be relatable. So we talked a little bit about this, but if you are meeting for a seller for the first time in person and it's at their home, pay attention to them when you walk in the door. What are they saying? How are they saying it? Look at their home, like what kinds of pictures do they have on the walls? What kinds of things, where can you make a connection with them that's outside of trying to win their real estate business? Because people work with people they know, like, and trust. There are what is the number of 7,000 agents in the MLS? I don't even know what the number is anymore, but 7,000 agents. There's an agent on every corner. Every homeowner probably knows 5 or 6 agents, right? Or more. So being able to be relatable to them, like, so if you see that there's some travel photos on the walls and you're like, oh, does your family like to travel? Or do you like Hawaii? Or do you have a home up north? Or, oh, did you go to Wisconsin. I mean, find a way to make a connection, because those are the ways sometimes that you become memorable, and you're not showing up just to sell and to win their business.
And Naomi mentioned in the comments, I like how you bring up that it's about relationships, not sales. And that's exactly what you're talking about there. Find connection points so you can build that relationship, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then, I mean, some of these things are like, I feel like, like manners 101, but things that, especially if you're nervous and you're meeting someone for the first time, but these are like interpersonal relationship skills too. I mean, the first time you walk through that door of a home, I don't care what's on the other side. You need to start with a compliment. You need to thank them for inviting you into their home, and you need to find something to compliment them or their home on. Because when you compliment someone, whether it's something in their home or something about them, it automatically lowers the tension of their feeling like this person might be coming in to sell me. I'm already nervous. I'm going to have to make this decision. It just sets people at ease, and it makes people feel more comfortable. I mean, I'm not saying be disingenuous, but find something about the situation where you can offer a compliment pretty quickly, so you can set the tenor of how things are going to go from there. Let's see. Okay, the other number 10 I have is to promote a sense of team. So obviously we're on a team. So we've got 6 people on our team, and we always sell as a team. So when we go into listing appointments, at every opportunity that we can, we are going in as a team, because being a team lends itself to being more interactive. It's more of a conversational meeting with 2 people there. There's an opportunity for people to pick up on different nuances that are happening in the room. I call it, like, from a sports analogy, is when you have play-by-play and color commentary. So I feel like there's nothing that beats team selling, if you will. So when you show up, you're coming in together. If there's 2 of them there too, you sit conversationally, you can interact with each other and not feel like you're pitching them and asking questions. And, as different people have different approaches and different styles, there's a way that each one of you can pick up on some of those nuances that maybe the other person isn't picking up on. And then one of the things I think is really important to say is that, so we're on an official team, but if you're an individual agent, you do not have to be on an official team to be a team. So my recommendation would be to find another agent in your market center that either complements you, or that like and trust as well. You feel like you have similar mindsets and that you have the same kind of career aspirations, and partner up with each other and go on listing presentations together, so that sometimes you're there as a support role to that agent, and then other times she or he is there in a support role to you. And I think that if you look at probably all those agents like Chris Ruskowitz, Karen Trimble, Janine, there's probably Corey Bolt. There's probably, if you look at your incoming class of agents, people who start together tend to rise together. So find those people that are in your similar space and ask them to team up with you. And if they say no, obviously that's not the right person. But I think that it's definitely the culture of Keller Williams in action is when agents are working together to support each other's business. And believe me, there is enough ocean out there. I mean, I know that it's a really tough market right now, but if our goal is focused on having a career in real estate and not having just a great year in real estate, setting the foundation for that now is going to help you build your business and your long-term success, versus keeping it all in and not being willing to share and to ask for help and to ask people to join you on the journey. And I think, like I said, I think everyone benefits from it.
And I couldn't agree more. We do have a lot of teams across all of the market centers, but the other thing that we talk about is that they're teams within a team, right? Team Trimble is a team within the Lake Country team. JSG is a team within the North Shore team. So your market center is your primary team, right? And we're here to support you. So Kathy, I love that point. And successful sales, we see that all the time.
Yep. Well, and I mean, to that point, I mean, we got to show up.
Yeah, right,
You
right.
got to show up. So obviously COVID has been, delivered a little bit of a curveball. So there might be some safety and health reasons why you're not coming to the market center. But I feel like as soon as you feel safe to come back to the market center for whatever reasons are holding you back, I respect all of that. Try to be in the market center as much as possible. It is amazing what you learn, tidbits of information and snippets, conversations that you're overhearing from other agents having conversations with other people, agents that have been in the business for a long time, or new agents. We all can learn from each other, and being present with each other there's nothing that can replace that, because things happen like this, dynamically. Like all of a sudden you're in the kitchen and you're warming up your lunch, and Diana walks in the room and we have a conversation about something, and it's like, oh my gosh, I never even really thought about that. And I'm like, and that's a little nugget that I tuck away for the next time I can use it. So come when you feel safe, but come to the market center as much as possible. The other thing is in your presentation or your sale, in your meeting with sellers, I recommend just being as interactive as possible. I bring highlighters, pens, pencils with me, and we have our toolkit is kind of separated. It's not just like one bound document. We have like little subsets of documents within our folder, because I think pulling things out, like flipping a page, circling something, or having something already circled and highlighted on a page, because I mean, these people are going to be like deer in headlights. Like if they're talking to you and you're going through all of these different things, they're like just trying to take it all in. And again, you're coming from a place of experience and knowledge. So you're talking about things that are that have intimate knowledge about, but it's maybe new to them. So being interactive and just taking key points out of the things that you're doing, I think is really important too. People don't like to just sit and be pitched. So, and that, like sales call, I mean, just put yourself on the other side of that. And we all would rather have conversations and feel like the people that are talking with us are sharing information and knowledge, not trying to sell us anything. So I think that's important also to be aware of the nonverbals that are happening in the room. So if you're sitting there and you're going through some of your sales presentation and you see Mr. Seller's eyes rolling back, and you can tell that they're disengaging or checking out, it's like, you just got to stop what you're doing. I mean, gracefully, so you say, I'm going to just leave this behind for you. There's some other key points that I really want to get to. Do you have any questions? Is there anything that I can explain further? You have to be able to read the room and to be able to pivot quickly. And that's one of the reasons why having a second person in your team with you at all times, it's a way for you to be interactive and for them to say, oh yeah, Kath, I see that you're talking about that, but I was thinking maybe, over here, we should talk about this now, or whatever. I mean, figure out a way to get it done, but being able to pivot and not lose people is as important as the selling process as almost anything.
Yes, yes. And we talk a lot about you want to mirror match the person that you're talking
Yep.
to. If somebody's speaking quickly, you're going to speak quickly. If somebody is telling their life story, you're going to chat with them, right? And that's why having another person in that room with you, because you're engaged, you're on a roll, you have your things that you want to remember. That person, Kathy, like you talked about, is the one who's going to help you navigate that conversation. They're like the steer person.
Right.
You're the paddler, right? So,
right. And it's hard to be, I mean, if you're speaking, it's hard to also be listening. So that person, like being the listener while you're doing the speaking, and vice versa. And just being able to be comfortable with each other, having that, like I said, that being at ease, being confident, even if you have to do your pump up song on the way, whatever it is to get you in them, or some meditation before you go in, just try your best to be at ease and to come off with a level of confidence. I say not boastfulness, but confidence. They're very different things. So do that. Let's see. Okay. The other thing is to use positive forward thinking language. So not to walk in and say, well, if we get this listing, if you choose us, you say things like, well, when we list your home, we recommend that we do this. Or when you're getting your home ready to sell, we have these tools that we're going to share with you so that you can be guided through the process. When you get an accepted offer on your home, this is the process that we use. So again, using that, like, I've got the business language, not the if language. Again, it's another way to exude confidence, and it makes people feel like, okay, did I give them the business? I guess I must have given them the business, so anyway, it's just.
You guys, this is another example of the expertise here, right? So and why we talk about practicing your conversations, and how that impacts the eventual outcome that you're going to have. These are,
Right.
They're very subtle things that move you from good at what you do to great at what you do, right? So.
Right. And then, I mean, this, mastery, obviously mastery doesn't just happen. Mastery comes from practice and opportunity to do things. So if you're not going on a lot of listing presentations or appointments, then you need to be practicing. And, again, with the scripts that are available, with the productivity coaching that's available, with all of the agents that are available. I mean, who was it? Someone put something out on one of our Facebook, the Lake Country, I think it was Bethany Clark, put something out, I can't remember what it was, a few weeks ago, about some topic.
Yep,
And like,
yeah.
What was it, Bethany? I know she's on. I can't remember what it was, but it was like, she got
no idea.
Right, but you got.
It was something for, with Lindsay, I think it was doing a newsletter or something like that. And it was like,
right, it was doing a newsletter. So she just was vulnerable and said, hey, does anyone, and literally she put that comment out there, and it was like 35 other people were like, yeah, we'd love that too. So sometimes, being the one who's not, you have to be able to be vulnerable to be successful too. I mean, I think back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, that success model looked like perfection. No one ever failed. People weren't willing to admit their failure. CEOs were, but now, I mean, look at the culture of success that is created around, not just in real estate, but across all businesses all over the place. Learning from failure, learning to be vulnerable is part of how you're going to be successful. And so putting it out there on the Facebook page to say, hey, listen, I want to get better at listing appointments. Who wants to practice with me? I mean, again, just do it. Because I'm telling you, this is what I used to say to my son in the lunchroom, like in 8th grade, because, 8th grade sucks. Lunch in 8th grade, it's like, it shouldn't even happen because it's like the worst time socially. Where am I going to sit? Are my friends going to sit with me? They're not in my order. Blah, blah, blah. And I used to say to my son, listen, this is the deal. If you're feeling like you don't know, like who you're going to sit with, there are 100 other kids who are feeling the same exact way that you are. Just find a place and sit down. And as you see people, invite people in to sit down. Or if you see someone sitting at a table by themselves, go sit with them. So just be the one that is the big cat and go and make the first move. People are just, we're like, everyone is just afraid sometimes of being, turned away, or that it's going to be crickets. Well, you just got to go for it. And if you want to be successful, you just got to go for it. Okay.
Kathy, if I can, same thing, if I can just add, when our son, it was in middle school, so same age, and he said, Mom, we had moved to a new house, and I said, Aaron, I said, in order to make friends, you need to be a friend. So
Yep.
Same thing, you have to reach out, and it's hard. Some people are very uncomfortable being the ones to do that, but you're exactly right.
No, that's such a good point. That's such a good point. And again, if you look at even the top producing agents that have a lot of tenure, they might not be doing it. Well, they do actually. I see like people put on the Facebook, Charlie Hutchinson and, all kinds of people put things on the Facebook page and ask questions, and they're looking for advice from other people. I mean, the more you do that, the more your name becomes known, people know who you are, and then you can continue to, like, iron sharpens iron. That's one of my life mottos. I've got two. One is iron sharpens iron, and you're only as good as your plan B. So everyone can do plan A seamlessly because it's all laid out. It's like, do this, then this, then this, then this. Great. But most of life does not happen in the A column. It happens in the B column. And so your ability to shift and make changes and work in the face of adversity is part of how you're going to be successful. And getting thick skin against failure and learning how to learn from your failure is also going to be one of the tools that will serve you well as you move forward in your career. Okay, so number 13 was, okay, so you're new in the business and you don't have a lot of data. What do you do? Because what do we say? Data is power. And if you don't have your own data, then you're going to use the market center data. You are getting data spoon-fed to you on a weekly basis, like nobody's business. Again, talking about the way the market centers are, the quality of the leadership, the quality of their ability to break things down in palatable chunks so that agents can go out and use that information. You need to be leveraging that data. And the way that you can couch it is, you know, a lot of people think that people understand how brokerages work. And I'm here to tell you, they do not. Like, they don't know, like Keller Williams, like what is, I'm like, oh yeah, well, it's a Team Trimble. We're a team within Keller Williams. Oh, okay. I thought you were, I'm like, no, they don't really understand how it works. So you can just say things, well, in our market center or in our sales office, however you want to say it, you know, this is the kind of things that we're producing. You're not lying. You're not saying anything that's disingenuous. You are just leveraging the data that is available to you in your market center. And you are part of this brokerage. So that information is available to you to use. So use it.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. We get people who ask, you know, we shared that Mofer letter, right? The Chris letter to get, and Charlie's right. We got people who said, well, can I use this? Yes, please do. I mean, this is what we're all here for, to support each other. So I love that.
Yep. And actually, I used it. I created a graphic from it. I mean, you know, we admire Chris. I mean, we have a great relationship with Chris. But again, we learn from each other all the time. I'm like, Chris, thank you for bringing that back up again. This is like a tried and true tactic that has been around forever, that people are now just kind of bringing back again and maybe making it a little bit more modern. I loved it. I was so thankful that she saw the value in that and brought it for to share with everyone. It's really important. One of the other things that from a listings perspective that I've said this on multiple occasions, but I'll just say it again. And I think most of the agents in all the market centers would say the same thing. You know, when we have listings, we always encourage other agents to promote our listings. You know, the only thing that we ask for is that you somewhere in your, like if you're doing it on social media, that somewhere in there that you say, this listing brought to you by Team Trimble. Because if you are sharing other people's listings and you have that caveat, this listing brought to you by Team Trimble, and you're putting that on your social media, your sphere is seeing that. They don't necessarily know that it's not your listing. And again, you're not being disingenuous, but what you're doing is you're showing them, you're showing up on a regular basis consistently as an expert. And so when you go to sit down with them and they may be your first listing, there's no need for them to know that. I mean, you've leveraged all of the other opportunity, all the other learnings that you have from the other folks in your market center. I mean, we used to have that thing, Diane, I don't think we have it anymore, when they used to do the listings, what is it called? I can't remember what it is now, but where they would, the brokerage was promoting the list. It was going out on the social media. It was auto pushing.
Oh,
it was
yeah, I know what you're talking about. And that, so yes, that was E-Edge through the E-Edge campaign.
Yeah, I forgot what it was, but I mean, we don't have that subscription anymore, but I mean, really all the listings are the brokerages.
Yeah. And one of the things that we talk about, I think that there's so much opportunity to use the listings of the brokerage with the team's permission or the listing agent's permission to put yourself out. Exactly what Kathy said. You're putting yourself out there. Best case scenario, you're finding somebody else who said, oh, I want to list with you. Second best, which is not a bad, is I found a buyer for that listing. I mean, how amazing. So one of the things that we get asked about a lot is how do I find leads? And you've heard this from all of us, listings have babies, right? And that's a way that the listings have babies, and they have babies not just for the listing agent, but if you're savvy about how you work with the other people in your office, they can have babies for you too, right? So everything that you're talking about, Kathy, that you bring this together, know the neighborhoods you're in, know the people that you're working with, make those connections, be in the relationship business, not the sales business. you know somebody who needs this house, needs to see this house, you've got a whole set of tools that you can use to bring people together. And we can help you with that. So
For sure. Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, so number 14, I'm getting close to the end, and it looks like we're probably running out of time here shortly, but let's see, ask for the business.
Yeah, right.
Always ask for the business before you leave, and or don't leave without letting them know that you'd be honored to help them sell their home.
Yes.
So always with, I mean, it doesn't have to be a hard ask, but it can always be, thank you for inviting us into your home. We would be honored to help you sell your home.
Kathy, let me ask you this, because I know I've had the situation where I've gone into something and I have my 5 or 6 points that I want to go through. And there are times when I've gotten through my first point and I think the person's ready. And I'm like, well, I mean, I have more to talk to, but are you ready to sign up now? Are you ready to sign the papers now? What happened? How do you read the room like that? You talk about that a little bit?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I just think that, again, the advantage of having the 2 people in the room, I mean, it does depend on, for us, like, you know, we obviously have a very large referral-based business. It's not very often that we're going in cold to a listing appointment. Usually it is a referral, but we do have some that we're meeting them for the first time, you know, at their home. But I do think that, again, with that progressive language, forward-thinking language, and as you're talking through things, if you're getting a sense that they're ready, you can say, you know, I mean, I've done things where we have our little folder, and I say, you know, we've got a lot of information here that we can leave with you, but if you're ready to go, you know, we can go ahead and just move to, let's start talking about the listing contract. When do you want to get started? What do we need to do before you go on the market? I mean, we can easily pivot to that. So that's why I say, I mean, I started at the beginning. This folder that we have, which is filled with information, is a toolkit. It is not meant to be, and actually it's one of my last points is, tools are a resource, not a crutch. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're in there and talking with sellers, you are talking with them about selling their home. You're talking about everything that you know. That's when the scripts and the mastery come into play, knowing the market, learning about them, learning about their home. And this other stuff is just, it's credibility enhancers. Like, you should be able to go in and get the listing contract without this stuff. But this is a credibility enhancer. That's how I look at it. It's not a crutch. It's there to enhance or support or supplement why you're really there. I mean, I always say, even though, like, my background is, like I said, 30 years in sales and marketing, mainly on the marketing side, supporting sales. And I used to say, I mean, I had someone at one point in time said to me, well, like, once you do our website, like, are you going to be done then? And I was like, okay, what are you talking about? Like, sales and marketing. Marketing is like the slow burn of awareness that happens, that's like the aura around a brand, right? So this is not even real. The aura around a brand, and salesmanship is when the one-to-one connection starts to happen. So the aura of marketing is what sets the credibility, what creates awareness about you as a real estate agent. And then when you go into the appointment, that's when you are educating or selling them on choosing you. What is your value proposition to list their home? One doesn't exist with, you know, it's not like one is more important than the other. They complement each other and they serve 2 separate functions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, Katie's on the phone, Katie Thomas, I mean, on the line. I don't know if she wanted to say anything about pivoting. Oh, she's probably on mute.
She is on mute.
Okay, it's fine. Let's see. Sending a recap email or personal note the day that you should have that ready, like have it ready. You know, when you go into your meeting, you should know that before you're going to bed that night, that you should have a recap email or personal note ready to hit send, because obviously this is top of their mind, and you want to strike when it's still top of their mind, and recap what it was you talked about and how you're going to help them sell their home, again, with that forward thinking, positive language. And it's amazing what people just don't do. I mean, this sounds terrible, but sometimes the bar isn't always that high, people. I mean, you just got to show up, do your job, do it well, do it with consistency and diligence, and, you know, stick to core business practices, and you're going to win more listings than you're not going to, just by doing it.
Well, and this is what I love. Like, the most important piece of real estate is the piece that's right between your ears, right? Because it's everything you talked about in terms of everyone is fearful. Everyone has doubts about their capacity to do this. If you do it consistently and kind of, you can acknowledge those and put them aside, and you bring your best professional game at the time, the best that you know how to do, taking use of all the scripts and tools and opportunities that you have, you're going to win more often than not. And you just got to trust that time on task over time, and you're in it for a long career. And
right. Yeah, no, it's true.
Nothing can stop you, you know.
Yep.
I mean, really, nothing can stop you.
Nothing can stop you. Exactly. Well, and obviously being thick-skinned and persistent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and one of my last, well, actually it's my next point, 16. You got to be a good loser. Got to be a good loser, because you will lose, and you're going to lose ones that hurt. You're going to lose ones that you think you got, and it's not going to feel good. But you have got to be a good loser. You have to always remain professional, and you have to do it with grace, and you have to think about the long-term credibility and integrity of your personal brand. So sometimes sellers won't even tell you that they've chosen someone else. All of a sudden it'll just pop up on the MLS, and your heart sinks, and you think, I'm so mad at them. They didn't even have the courtesy to tell me that they went with someone else. I didn't even know they were interviewing other agents. You know what? Go scream in the car for a little bit, or the bathroom, or the shower, in the mirror, whatever you need to do, and then get yourself right again. And you need to email, call, or text that seller. You need to thank them for the opportunity to have been able to, you know, present your brand for their business. And you need to say to them, listen, I still believe, just when I came into your home, I told you I wanted to sell your home. I still want to sell your home. And now that it's listed, you've chosen a great agent. I wish you all the best. And I'm going to try to bring a buyer. I mean, it's the best way to be, because you never know how that is going to happen. I mean, you never know from the point that a home is listed all the way to close, if that's going to be a great experience for them or not. And so you don't always know what the reasons why they chose someone else over you. Sometimes it is commission, and you're not willing to devalue your commission, right? So you're saying, I'm sticking at 6% and I'm not going to take people less than that. Then that's fine. If they were going to choose commission only and they chose someone else, okay, but still be professional. And I say, try harder to bring a buyer. There's nothing more satisfying when you don't get a listing and you bring the buyer. I mean, seriously, it's like the best feeling, because you're like, see, I came and I made a promise to you that I wanted to sell your home, and I brought a buyer, and I'm actually the one who sold your home, by the way. I'm the selling agent. So just so you know, like, that's so important to me. Yeah. And don't bash it. I mean, I know it's hard right now. I mean, with COVID and all the things that are going on, the lack of inventory, blah, 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 all that other stuff, there's a lot of chatter. And I know Charlie has talked about this too. I mean, even if there's agents that you don't necessarily think are operating at the standard that you think they should, don't bash them out in the marketplace. Don't bash them to the people that you're meeting with, because what it does is it brings the whole industry down. You know, you just need to rise, you know, whatever, rising tides raise all ships. So, right, keep your integrity intact, keep your credibility intact, operate at the highest level of professionalism that you can at all times, and let those be the outliers. Don't sink to that level. And plus, it also messes with your mindset. It's negative. It makes you feel negative. It's like a churn in your stomach instead of a happy heart. You know, just let it go and be positive and hope for the best. That was it. Okay, so we're at 12:01. I don't know how much time. So my last thing was to have fun. Don't take yourself so seriously either. You know, at the end of the day, if you're not having fun, if you're not doing what you love to do, when you're doing what you love to do, it doesn't feel like work, right? And success comes when you're following your passion. So I think that is, you know, what fuels us. we come to work every day and it doesn't feel like we're working. I mean, there are days that are tiring and it's hard to lose and it's hard to do all of these things, individually, but collectively as a whole, we're so very grateful and thankful to be in business with each other as a team, associated with this market center, with all the great other agents in this market center, as well as the leadership in this market center. So we absolutely love it. And, if it's not for you, I mean, that's fine, but don't sour out. You got to be tough too, as much as you can. Work through it.
You either win or you learn, right?
There you go. Yes.
Adopt a learning mindset, you win either way. So
right. Exactly. So I don't know, Diana, what you want to do. I mean, I have my little toolkit here, but I feel like, I'm happy to, if there's anyone that would want access, these are all customized things that we do. We don't use Command, although I do recommend people to use Command because things are so easy in there. We use Canva for our stuff, and we have things available on Google Docs. We have our toolkits are like kind of locked and loaded and ready to go, so that when an appointment comes available, like we're ready. You have to do there's a certain few things that you have to do, but aren't like behind. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't have labels. I don't have a folder. I don't have, we did this this is like a basic folder from Staples and a pre-printed label. You don't have to go and buy 1,000 folders. There's a way that if you're getting started in the business, just lead with revenue, find ways to be creative in putting the toolkits together and print only so many of them, so that but they're at the ready, so that or carry them in your car or have them in your office, but have them ready. So that's not one more thing when your printer's out of ink, and that's when you have to print the listing presentation.
I'm sure that never happens, but
so anyway, so I don't know. So I'm happy to share this with anyone, but I know it is like 12:04, so I know we're probably over time already. But I really do feel like what we talked about, it's kind of those intrinsic pieces that, you said it best, Diana, these are tools, but it's these other things that happen like behind the scenes, or that are kind of unspoken, that really are going to be the difference between success and failure for a long time.
Yeah, and I'll put it out just in respect for everybody's time. We are up on an hour. If anybody is curious, like, what the heck do I put in a listing packet? I'll work with Kathy to kind of put a list together we can send out to people who are curious. We have these in trainings. We go over this in productivity too. So Kathy, I thank you for diving into the really important work of winning the listing, right? Because it is the presence and the power that you bring as an individual person. We can get a list of the tools, and if people want samples, we can send that on.
And there's so many out there that, one of the things that I thought would be interesting to talk about, and they might even do it in productivity coaching, I'm not sure, but like, okay, now you've got the listing. Now what?
You got it.
Like that's like a missing piece too. Like, as I start to think through, like, okay, it's not just data entry into the MLS, but like, what are the things that you have to do to get to launch a listing?
Right.
And those pieces that it's like, oh my gosh, okay, now I got a listing. Now what do I do?
Right.
It's
always that, it's winning the listing is the first step in a marathon, to borrow a phrase that we hear a lot.
Right.
And I think what you talked about is the foundation for building good relationships across the board, because you do want that referral. You do want that repeat business. And the only way that you get that is by serving the clients that you have at the highest level possible. So you win the business, that's like the tip of the iceberg. And then everything that happens after that, being in good communication, making sure you're answering people's questions, you're being responsive, you're letting them know what's happening at every step of the way, good or bad, right? And you're helping them set expectations, all go towards building a business.
Right. Well, and even like some of the tricks of the trade, like there's some like, reports in MLS that you can pull, or reports in showing time that you can pull. Like, so obviously this market is a little strange because things are moving so quickly, but in normal markets where, you're sending updates to the sellers because they're getting upset about something, or you have to recommend a price reduction. Well, again, usually when you do that, you want to be able to have data to support the recommendation to make the price reduction. I don't know. Do people know, that these things are out there? There is so much that is available to agents. And it's like, you're drinking from the fire hose in the beginning. There's so much going on. It's impossible to retain it all. And every time I do any of those kinds of trainings or talk to someone, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that you could do that. That's amazing. I'm going to add that to like my reports that I send to my sellers.
Yeah, yeah. Always be learning for
Yeah.
sure. So.
Okay.
You guys, I think this is also a great place to remind people that we have productivity coaching, we have launch coaching, we cover these in our team meetings, all that good stuff. So plug in, do what you need, ask for what you need. We'll find a way to get you that. So Kathy, thank you for sharing all of your
Thank you all for
expertise,
coming.
helping us to get to mastery. I so appreciate what you had to share. And thanks everybody for being here.
Yeah, thank you. And if you guys have any gems, send them my way. I want to know.
Awesome. Thanks you guys.